people would pick on like certain body parts. Like I have bigger hands than my body, which are a bit different. I wouldn't say I knew like this is bullying, but I knew that it was making me uncomfortable. They would scream those things in the class, start laughing. And in my family, I was labeled as the quiet one. I look at my life and I'm like, I'm not quiet.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me yet, I'm Moagi. Today, we're going to be discussing a topic that oftentimes we only think about when we hear about a young person committing suicide, when we hear about a family member being depressed because of what they've gone through. That topic is bullying. As you can see, I'm not alone. I'm with two lovely ladies, one of whom is a former bully victim and another is our resident psychologist, Dr. KG. Welcome to you both and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start with you, Doctor. Can we just start off by defining what bullying actually is?
Okay, thanks, Kate. So bullying in a nutshell, I'll try and give you like the simplest definition. It's when someone actually uses intimidation, fear, or threats in order to get somebody else to do what they want or to behave in a certain way. That's it in a nutshell.
And we know that it happens in different contexts. One can be bullied from creche, primary school, high school, in the workplace, in a relationship, whether it's friends or lovers, it can happen. What are the causes of bullying, and are the causes different depending on the context in which it happens?
The common theme when it comes to bullying is it's power. It's about the person who's doing the bullying getting a sense of power from what they're doing, the ability to control other people, to control what they do, how they behave, what they think, how they feel. It's power. It can be like a drug for some people. And some of them, can play devil's advocate. It's because they have their own issues. Those who are bullied tend to also become bullies. So it's learned behavior. It's something they've learned. It's the only way that they know how to interact in their everyday world. They don't know any better. So basically, those are some of the main causes.
Yeah. And instead of just hating on bullies, as we have done for a very long time, what would you say is the reason behind it? Yes, we want power, like that might be the thing, but why them? Why would one person want power in this way and not someone else?
Yeah, so, with going with what you just said, that we should not vilify bullies. Sometimes you find that in say, a bully at school or a bully at work, you find that if you were to look at them outside of that context, at home, you might find that they have no power. They have no sense of control. They themselves are being bullied or ignored. They feel weak, they feel powerless. And the workspace or at school, that is the only area in their life where they feel they have some sense of control. That's where they are now the big person, So you would assume that bullies are bullies everywhere, but actually it's not always the case.
If I had a gun with 2 bullets and I was in a room with Hitler, Bin Laden, and Toby, I would shoot Toby twice.
Is it possible for me to be bullied without me knowing that I'm being bullied, or it's always obvious?
It's not always obvious because sometimes, as people, we tend to excuse other people's behaviors, or we're just so clueless because we believe in the intrinsic good of everybody. So it's almost like, nah, that person would never, or no, I would never be subject to bullying. I know myself, but sometimes bullying, it's so sneaky. It's some people are very good at doing it. It's manipulative almost. It's it's a bit of psychological play that they do. They bully you without you always being aware of it. They get you to do things like, let me say, obvious case, like in the work situation. You're always doing somebody else's work, but you think it's my idea, I'm helpful, I like helping people, but this person is actually getting you to do everything for them. They do nothing, but they get all the glory. And you're not even aware of this is what this person is doing. But outside of that context, they see no value in you for only
Any
as far
other
as
thing.
what you can do for them.
Yeah. And then for an outsider, if I care about you as my child, as my husband, how can I see if you are being bullied if you don't even recognize it or you're not willing to tell me?
Some instances it can be very obvious that something is up, like in the example I've just given. People can see like, but Katie, I mean, this person, you're always doing this person's job, but then they speak to you like this, they treat you this way. Don't you think that's a bit odd, or that's not kosher with us? We don't like how the situation looks. And then in some instances, as if it's your child or somebody close to you, it's about taking notice. It's about being aware of the person you're living with. You can see a change in their behavior. All of a sudden now, your child is a bit more withdrawn, or they start getting a bit more aggressive. They don't take pleasure in the things that they used to. They're a bit depressed. With kids also in school, they start doing badly. Or they don't want to go to school anymore. Somebody who used to love going to school, they couldn't wait to go there. Now it's every excuse under the sun. They don't want to go to school, always feigning sickness. Every morning, no, I'm sick, mommy, no stomach ache, this and this. So it's looking out for those behaviors and to say, but you were this person and now things are changing, but the change, it's not a good change. Then that's when you start getting a bit concerned and you explore a bit more to say, but I'm noticing this, what's happening? Talk to me,
And at what age would one say that their child is a bully? Now we're starting, yes, they're adult bullies, but let's speak to as a child. We're not only around people that are victims, we might be in the home of someone who is the one bullying. How do you see it?
From age 2 to 4, you can start seeing signs of my child is a bit of a bully. They might be a bit more aggressive around other kids. We like to say it's play, but then you start noticing, but my child, this one, other kids are always crying around them. They're always taking other kids' things. They're always pushing other kids around. Especially at that young age, it's the behavior that you start to notice, how they are with other kids, how they are around other people. So those are the things to look out for at that age.
Okay, so let's not just be there to fight for our children. Let's also be mindful of the possibility of our children being the bullies. And also, if you are being bullied, like how Doctor said, it's not always obvious that actually I'm being bullied. So we need to always, do that introspection, check those that are around us and how they relate with us.
David, wait.
Nope.
Is there no way we can get rid of him?
Not without cause, Michael.
I have cause. It is because I hate him.
Moving on to you, Gia. As we know, as we have heard, bullying can happen in different contexts. In what context were you bullied?
So for me, it was at school. Yeah. So I had changed schools. I was at a blacks only school. And then when my parents started working and making a bit of more money, they decided to move me to a multicultural school. And I think I was also just struggling with making new friends, new environment and all of that. And then, it happened at school where people would pick on like certain body parts. Like I have bigger hands than my body, which are a bit different, right? And when I was still a kid, I was tiny. So it was visible that something's different. Yeah. So it was in the school.
And how was it? Can you just tell us a bit about your experience? Yes, your hands, but can you just go into greater detail as to how was your life in that time?
It wasn't nice because, like doctor's definition, I wouldn't say I knew like this is bullying, but I knew that it was making me uncomfortable because they would scream those things in the class, and then kids, then they would start laughing, and it's things that you were not really aware of, but when you get in the school environment, then they would start saying those things. And then it wasn't nice, and I couldn't say actually I'm being bullied, but I knew that it was making me uncomfortable.
And how did you respond to that discomfort?
So I withdrew a lot. For my parents are a bit from the older generation. So they were mostly, I always tell them that you guys were focused on whether I've eaten, whether I've eaten, I'm clean, I'm well dressed. So the emotional part, I think they never really knew how to support us and be there for us emotionally. So there was never a door where I could say, actually, mom or dad, this is how what is happening. I did at some point, I think at some point when I was doing grade 6, it became physical. So that's when I spoke to my dad about it. And fortunately, my dad was working at the same school, and then he went and spoke to the kid. And then now the kid in the classroom, I remember when other kids were like trying to do something, would say, hey, do you know this child's dead? Come to you. Yeah. So that's the only time where I actually spoke to my dad about it. But the other times I would just keep quiet. I remember there were times where I would go home and I would lock myself in my room and cry because I didn't have anyone to talk to about this, and also the shame that comes with it. Like as a kid, you don't know how to process these things. In my family, I was labeled as the quiet one, like the extended members. And it's funny now because I look at my life and I'm like, I'm not quiet. So I think it's as a result of everything that was happening at the time. Then because I withdrew a lot, then it was labeled as maybe you are quiet.
Yes.
And all of that. So yeah, so it's the crying and just not wanting to be seen. I remember I struggled a lot with when we had to do presentations. The fact that I'll have to stand in front of people and someone might shout out something and then the class laughs. So yeah, those are some of the things that I remember.
Doctor, I like what she said. Now she was labeled as
Yeah,
quiet, but in
but
reality,
yeah.
she isn't a quiet person. And so many of us walk around saying, oh, I'm shy, whatever. And it's only later that we realize, actually, I was shy because of this. How can one identify? I think at a young age it's not easy, but I think there are adults walking around saying, I'm an introvert, I'm shy, I'm quiet, but it's as a result of things that happened years ago. How can we navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I also found that interesting. That wow, that is like that. Like now you are labeled as quiet, so then people just
They leave it
take
at
it.
that.
They leave it at that. They don't inquire. But why are you this quiet? Why don't you speak? What's happening? And then we also tend to internalize that to say, but I'm quiet. It works. But then once people start verbalizing that, then you internalize that to say, oh yeah, I am the quiet one. But back at the ranch, no, you're not. So it's about, I think also it's important to look at the person in different contexts. At when are you quiet? When is this person? Are they always quiet? Or are there places and situations whereby they're actually the loudest person in the room? And then you start to wonder, but why? Why is this? It's not, this difference. Why in this context is Kia like this, but there she's like this? And sometimes we might just say, oh no, but once I'm comfortable with people,
Yes,
that's why.
that's
when
a common thing
That's
you
when I
say.
start getting loud. But no, if you're quiet, you're quiet. Even with your
Yes.
closest friends,
Yes.
there will always be that level of being the quiet one in the group. But then if the difference, I think,
It's too great.
it's too great, then you must start questioning yourself. Like, but why is it like this? Why this? It just doesn't gel. What's happening? So yeah, I think maybe that's something to also consider, to be more aware of that. Yeah.
Yes. And this is, like I said, it's not just something for children. Every single one of us can go through that. Even as an adult, check yourself. Are you really shy? Are you really quiet? Or is that an identity that you have picked up as a result of some trauma that you may or may have not been aware of? Just check yourself on that. What about the teachers? Did you ever confide in anyone? Did you trust any of them? Were they supportive? Were they not seeing the abuse that you were going through?
Sure. I don't think they were seeing it. Yeah, I think I would say they were seeing it, and I never had a teacher that I also felt safe with. Yeah. So I just tend to, even now, I tend to think a lot, to keep a lot of things to myself. So, yeah, I don't know if it's because of that trauma that I went through, but I never actually felt comfortable with speaking to anyone about it.
So back on what Gia was saying, to say she grew up failing to open up or finding someone that she can open up to. And even today, she's walking in that same attitude, I believe that there are many other people, they are now married, they are wives, they are husbands, and they still can't even open up to the people that they love and who love them. How can Gia and everyone else who finds themselves in this situation be able to learn now to open up, to do something that they couldn't for many years?
I think it goes back to also, like, just to reiterate that being withdrawn, that being quiet, that was her coping mechanism. That's how they cope. And also being quiet, being in the corner like a wallflower, then it's a protective thing as well. You're building this wall, you're putting this warm blanket around you that no one can get past this. If I'm quiet, if I'm not seen, if I'm not heard, then I can't be a target of bullying. So it comes from that standpoint to say, if I'm this quiet person, then a lot of things will not touch me. They can't affect me. So that I think that's why then they continue with this narrative of, let me be the quiet one. Let me sit there in my corner. If I don't put my hand up, then I'll be safe. No one will target me. I cannot be targeted for anything negative. I will not be hurt. I will not be made fun of. So then unfortunately, like now she said, it filters into other areas of their life because it went unchecked. It's not something that was ever addressed. So at this stage, I would recommend therapy. It helps. Therapy is not for when something happens. Therapy, I always say therapy is like servicing your car. You don't have to go when something is broken. You do it every 15,000 kilometers. So the same thing with therapy. You go in just to check in with yourself. How am I? Where am I in my life? Am I where I want to be? How am I doing? So it's just basically to go in and check in. Then there you discover, oh, this is actually this way because of this. Now, how do I move on from them? Then in therapy, we deal with those issues to say, this happened, this is where you are. Now, how do we rewrite that script? How do we help you take care of that little child that was neglected? How do we fix what happened back then? How do we change how you see yourself? How do we help you regain your power? How do we help you realize, but I am not this quiet person. I do have power. I can stand up for myself. And then we try then to start implementing that in your adulthood. So it's never too late. I mean, you can just go into therapy, speak to a professional, speak to someone who can assist you and work on that aspect of your life.
We're not all going to sit in a circle Indian style, are we?
Get out. No, this is not a joke. Okay? It was offensive and lame. So double offensive.
We should really have the office's air quality tested. I mean, we have radon coming from below. We have asbestos in the ceilings. These are silent killers.
You are the silent killer. Go back to the annex.
Thanks, Doctor. And Kia, to what extent did this bullying affect you? Like your performance, your self-esteem, your confidence? How did it affect you?
I think it was more my confidence. I think I just, I didn't value myself. I was always, like I said, the withdrawing thing, not thinking that my voice matters. Because if a teacher asks something, if the teacher asks a question in the classroom, and if you raise your hand and say something and then everyone is laughing at you, like, it's also just always that fear that I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be heard. So yeah, I think it's that part. Academically, I don't remember it affecting me that much because my parents were quite strict in that. So yeah, so I don't think it affected me academically, but it was more on the self confidence and esteem.
Yeah. And that can be deceiving to a lot of parents. You might think that, no, but she's performing, she's an A student, so she cannot be a victim of bullying, but she's only doing that because her parents cared so much about that, but her self-esteem was dying slowly but surely. Yeah. Some people, like how Doctor said, they don't have power at home, then they want to have power over certain people in the workplace. Did you ever find yourself bullying other people because of you being bullied?
I don't know if I would call it bullying. The doctor will diagnose. But for me, because I'm I have a younger sister, they normally say, and even like the younger cousins, they would say, like, you like controlling us too much. I always felt like because I'm the older one, I'm supposed to be giving orders and all of that. So it's just that control that I felt I had over them. So yeah, I don't know if it's bullying.
Doctor?
Yeah,
Is it bullying?
I think they would be in a better position to answer that. Probably where they are, if they look back, they'll probably say yes, it was bullying. But also, as she's speaking, I'm like, but also it's a double-edged sword. It's not easy because, like she's saying, she was the eldest, and culturally there's this thing that as the eldest, you must take control, you must be in charge. So being the eldest worked in her favor, I guess, in that sense, that was her. Now I could reclaim my power. I know there's somewhere where now I'm the one calling the shots. I'm not the victim anymore. I'm not the smaller one. I'm not the odd man out. Now I can
Do it to others.
That's the thing. She was not aware that that's what she was doing, but probably part of it was from that. So it was not intentional, but there was a bit of bullying in there. So.
And I think that is evident in a lot of workplaces. People, they have the managerial position, they have that position of authority. And yes, they might be convincing themselves and everyone else to say, no, in my position, I need to ensure that everything is going well and everything. But in reality, behind the layers,
there's a certain level where then it just goes a bit too far. It's not just you now asserting your position or being the manager and doing your duties as expected. They start to go a little bit overboard. It becomes a bit personal, it's unreasonable, it's hurtful to the next person.
And if there's someone who's watching and let's say their subordinates feel like they're bullying them and they feel like, no, these subordinates are just being, sissies or whatever. I'm doing what I need to do, but in reality they are bullying. How can one really determine to say, am I being a bully? Am I, justified in what I'm doing, or am I going too far? How can one?
It's not always easy. People don't always have that insight to say, but I am the bully in this situation. To realize that you're actually a bully, I think you need to have insight to be able to see other people, read the room, read other people's reactions, because the feedback you get from those around you, that will give you an indication. I mean, 10 people or everybody in your office cannot dislike you. When you have that one person who's groveling at those situations, there's always one or two people who sing your praises. They're the ones who don't give you a problem. But then why are the rest of the people not liking you? Why do you have an issue with everybody else? So that's when now you need to start doing some introspection and say, but why only 2 people seem to be in my corner? The crowd can be wrong. They can't all just have a vendetta against me. So take a look, take a deep look at yourself. If you are able to ask people for feedback, ask them. Sometimes they'll be honest, sometimes they might be scared to say anything, because then that goes hand in hand with that bullying. But you have the power, you control whether I have this job or not. So I'm not going to say anything bad about you. But, for me, that's just an indication, like, are you really that obtuse? Excuse, I don't know. I don't have another word to use, but are you really that so into yourself or that oblivious that you don't realize that? But every time you walk into the room, it's like you suck the air out. People become nervous. People were laughing before you walked in. Now all of a sudden people are like scared. They're all of a sudden busy. It's quiet. No one says anything or they just act differently when you're there. When you're not there, it's different. People are happier. They're in a better space, And that's when you must ask yourself, but why? Am I the problem? Because you just might be. And then, like I said, if you are able to ask them for honest feedback, ask the other people, ask people who will be impartial, people who have nothing to gain by being nice to you, ask them, like, how am I perceived by other people? Hopefully you'll find somebody who will tell you, like, you are a bit hard, you're this, you're that, people don't like you, this is what people are saying because of this. In this instance, you go a bit too far. They want to work with, and most of the time, if you want to work with a person, you want to do your best, but then because of their attitude and because of their approach and how unreasonable they can be in some of their demands, that's where the problem lies. So then you also, as a manager, you have to look at was it necessary for me to go a step further? And what some people in management you find they do is they take pleasure. All of a sudden, it's a thing of taking pleasure in embarrassing other people in front of other people. Now, that's how they assert their power. If you have an issue with someone, call them off to the side. Talk to them privately. There's no need to embarrass somebody in a group setting, but then that's when there's a problem. They start doing that. They start, now in a meeting, they call you out, like, but I was with you yesterday.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything. Why did you wait to say this in front
Now,
of
in front of
everybody
everyone.
else?
Yep.
So it's those kind of situations that kind of like,
Yeah,
you know,
something is
maybe
off.
something is off. You are going further than you need to. It's really not necessary to be that person.
Toby now has the floor, and he is going to try not to screw this up like everything else in his life.
So, as you look back at the people who bullied you and you kind of put yourself in that grade 6 gear, what do you think was wrong with those people, and what do you think is wrong with bullies in general?
I think I can link it to what Doc was saying, that it's because of certain things that we're not getting from home. So I think that power thing, that you feel like if I can find someone and bully them, then at least they will fill that void that I feel like is not being filled at home. So it's that saying of hurt people hurt others. Yeah. So just I think it's related to that. So I saw a video on Instagram. A teacher, I think they were in the playground, and then the teacher called the little boy and was like, "Don't do that. You are bullying that person, so don't do that." I'm sure you know that even at home. She was linking it to gender. Like boys shouldn't hit girls. I'm sure you know even at home your dad doesn't hit your mom. And then the guy's like, "No, my dad does hit my mom. The other day, my dad pushed my mom against the wall," and all of that. So it's the things that they are also learning from home, and that linking it to that power thing, that as a child, I'm looking at my dad hitting my mom. I don't have control. I don't have that power. But then when I get to school, then I try and get it. Yeah.
Why are you here? I didn't even invite you to my birthday party.
I work here.
Okay, all right.
What a great lesson from that video, because sometimes you just want to blame people without knowing why they're doing it. What is wrong to you and to me might be right to somebody else. Parents support their children who are bullies and their children who are being bullied.
I think, well, if we have to go by that video, then it's a thing of you as a parent, you need to check yourself first. Why are your kids bullying? Could it be something they've seen you do? Are they mimicking things that they see around the house? And it might not be you. It could just be other people in the family or people within your environment that they idolize. So then they think that behavior is okay. So it's very important as a parent to sit your child down and speak to them and ask them, where did you see this? I don't do that. Me and mommy, we don't do that. So and so in the house doesn't do that. So where did you learn that behavior? You know, and if you're not even aware or now they're mimicking you, still sit them down and say, this is a concern. What's happening? Why are you talking this way to other people? Why are you doing this? Why do you think this is right? But then do it in a caring, gentle way. You're not doing it in a way, I'm blaming you, it's bad, you're a bad person, because then they will be scared to open up. Do it nicely, gently to them. Say, you understand that when you do this, it's not nice. It makes other people feel bad. Imagine if I did that to you, how would you feel? Often enough times they will say, oh, but so-and-so does it, and it's okay. I saw so-and-so do it, so I thought it's okay. Then that's when now you start that conversation to say, but certain behaviors, just because somebody else does it, does not make it okay. I, as your parent, don't like you doing that. It makes me feel bad. It makes the other person feel bad. So you just open up that conversation with them, so that they also know that if the same is happening to them outside of the home, that they feel safe to say, but now I know I can go and talk to my parents about this, to say, oh, but this is happening to me at school or wherever I'm experiencing this. That's why, therefore, I come and I do this to my siblings or to other kids because I thought it's okay. So that's how then we start that conversation.
Now let's speak to parents like the ones in the video, the Instagram video, who are actually doing it. What help is available to them? Because I believe that no parent wants their child to be bullies or to be bullied, but maybe they're doing what they're doing, because of other reasons. Like, what help is available, especially free help, if any, for them to come out of that and thus free their child from doing that.
Yeah. Always first things first, go for therapy, get some help. The parents obviously need to go into therapy to find out is this something that's always been going? Is that how he grew up? But then that's his own personal journey to find out. But then I'd always say therapy. Go speak to a professional. Go speak to somebody who can assist you to get out of that cycle. Because then it's that, it's that vicious cycle. Now the child is also going to grow up to become an abusive husband if it's not dealt with. So it's that thing, like, these are the warning signs that people tend to ignore. But I think it's the nice thing is now we live in a society where such behavior is not tolerated as much as it used to be back in the day. So then that's why now there are resources. So they should make use of those resources. Yeah.
We'll be sure to link resources, Dr. KG's contacts, other free resources that you can use if you are in that situation or if you know somebody who might be in need of these solutions. Kia, as you look at yourself, would you say that you have, recovered, everything as well, or are you still going through the process of overcoming the trauma that you experienced from the bullying? Where are you now?
No, I think I'm still going through the process. I think I've gone, I'm doing therapy, speaking to coaches and all of that. So I think I'm in the process of getting better. I remember when I started working where I'm working now, when I had my first, what's this thing called? Performance review, yes. My manager said to me, you have a voice, you need to use it. So we're not hearing you, you're not speaking up, and you got this job because the qualifications and experience are there, but we also want to hear your views and everything. So I'm linking such things to that experience. But like I said, it's something that I think it's a process that I'm still working on.
Yeah, and that's great that there's a company that, there's a manager like that. Yeah, that's excellent. And one would think, no, you were bullied in grade 1, you were 6, now you're 26, 36, 46. How are you still going through that? Like, get over it already. What can you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize the long-term effects of that behavior. Bullying, just like it's trauma. It's trauma to the brain, it's trauma to the ego. And it leaves a permanent scar. And some scars don't completely heal over. There's always a mark, there's always a reminder.
Somewhere under there.
Yeah, that this happened. So it's the same with bullying. And especially the younger you are when it happens, that's you in your formative years. This becomes part of your narrative. This becomes part of who you are. So it's forming you into the person you become. That's why then we carry that with us into adulthood. Because that was in those years when you were still becoming. So it becomes part of who you are. It becomes part of your story. And that's what people need to understand, that you can't say, oh, but you're an adult now, go get over it, you're a child. And know what happens to us in childhood. We do carry it with us into adulthood if we don't deal with it then. So that's why you have, right now we have a lot of adults with a lot of childhood traumas, and unfortunately, most of these things come out in our adult years. That, but what happened to me 20 years ago? It's actually still affecting me. So, that's why it's important to me. Go for your own therapy for whatever reason. Like I said, it doesn't have to be now because things are falling apart. You just go in just to service yourself.
Check.
Just check.
What's broken, what needs changing.
You'll be surprised what comes up.
Yeah, that's so true. Like we mentioned in our mental health awareness series, if you didn't catch it, please watch it. I went because I had a miscarriage, but from there I realized this happened and that happened, and now I'm going through this because of 100 other things. And therapy is definitely recommended.
Yes.
Kia, what would you say to someone who is going through bullying at this stage, or young, old, going through bullying, and someone who is like you on their journey to overcoming the trauma from being bullied?
I think to someone who's going through it, recognize that it's bullying, just based on the different bullying methods, I don't know if I should call it that are out there. Because sometimes even at work, you can see that, I don't like the way this person is talking to me, but you don't have the label to say
Yes.
So recognize that, and also just the empathy part that actually this person is doing this because they are also sick. It's, you know, it's not physical, so you can't actually say this person has a broken leg or something like that. And then, like you're saying, the thing of seeking help. So in that process of seeking help, then I feel like you also learn to stand up for yourself once you know that actually you have that voice of saying I don't like the way you're speaking to me and all of that. So I don't have much for that, but those are some of the things that I can put out there. And then someone who's going through the process of healing and everything, like I said, it's a process and it's not something that's going to happen just like that. And like you're saying, you find that also when I went to, for therapy and everything, it was for other things like people pleasing and everything. And then the bullying also comes up. So I think seeking help is so important. And I'm at an age where I'm seeing like most of my peers, they getting married, they having kids and all of that. And it's important that you heal yourself so that you can be able to raise like also healed kids, right? Because like I said, my parents are from those generations that didn't really care about providing emotional support to their kids. So I think it's our generation that needs to like stand up and seek help and get healed so that we can be able to support our kids. Like the simple things, when your child comes back from school, how was school? Who are your friends? What is happening? Has anything changed? Just opening that door that whenever something happens, your child can feel comfortable to come and speak to you about it. So if we only focus on the physical things, then you end up also having kids that go through what you also went through. So I think seeking help is very important.
And what can you say to a bully?
I think also seek help, because there's a reason why you are bullying. I liked what doctor was saying about also being cautious of your environment. Like, it can't be everyone who's coming to you and having a problem with you, and you are the one who's always right. Like, and the innocent one. Like, I'm not responsible for that and all of that. So be mindful. Mindful is the word. Mindful of what people are saying about you and how many people are actually saying that about you. And also, just when you are alone, when you are alone, you are able to reflect. You know what is wrong with you. You know things that you need to work on. So also just recognize and be mindful and also seek help. Because just based on my experience, you can see what kind of effect this thing has on a person, right? Especially when you start them young, because that's when we are busy developing our identity, getting to know ourselves. So if at such a young age, then people are calling me names, you end up believing those things. So also the other thing I wanted to say to someone who's healing from it is to get to a point where you know that because that person is sick, like what they were saying is lies. Now I love my hands. The fact that I have hands is a blessing. There are people out there who do not have hands. So the thing of saying, actually, they were lying. What they're saying is not true, right? Just developing that relationship with yourself, of loving yourself, of accepting your flaws, because no one is perfect.
Exactly.
We all have those flaws. So getting to a point where you accept yourself.
Thanks, Kia. Doctor, how can one stand up against their bullies? A child who's watching, a teenager, an adult in the workplace, how can they stand up against a bully?
It's actually, it's not very easy, especially for the person who is being bullied, because remember, bullying, it's about instilling fear in the other person. So it's a thing of, if you speak up, there will be negative consequences. So they are bullied into submission. They are bullied into keeping that secret. But the first step is not keeping it a secret. It's speaking up. Speak up. Tell an adult. Speak to a friend. Tell your parents. Tell your teacher. because then that takes the power away from the bully. You know, that control, then you're relinquishing that control from them. If now you are speaking up and they know it's something that's going to be known, I'd say that's the first step.
Yeah. And if a child is unable to do as you said, they are unable to speak up, how can we as parents help them? How can we give them that power long before they're even bullied? How can we instill in the child to say, if this ever happens to you, I'm here, please speak up?
You start right there. You say that exactly to your kids. As a parent, you know, being a parent, it's a very daunting job. It's a big job. You start them young. When your child is growing, it's about having those conversations with them. It's about creating that environment for them whereby they know that the world might be a big and scary place, but home is always the safe place where I can be myself. I can share everything. I can tell my parents anything, you know. So it's important for them to have that place where they know that here, if I have a crappy day, I can go and tell them. If I had a good day, I can go tell my parents. If somebody looked at me wrong, I can go tell my parents. If I'm not feeling okay about something or a situation, I can still tell my parents. And I shouldn't be scared to voice my feelings, because I know I'm going to be listened to and I'm going to be supported. Whether it makes sense or not, my parents are always there to listen to me. You know, that elder person in my life is there to be supportive. They're there to believe me. They're there to guide me. They're there to carry me through this. It's about you creating that environment for them from a young age. We can't wait until they're like in their teens. Now, all of a sudden, you want to now create this environment, because by then it might be too late. Yeah. Being aware, it's about paying attention to the little things. Pay attention to your kids. I know we live busy lives. You're working 8 to 5. You come back, you're exhausted. You can't be bothered. You just want to have a nice long bath and go to sleep, or have a nice glass of wine. You can't be bothered to listen to the chattering of little people sometimes. But it's about making time to actually give them that platform to say, as exhausted as I am, how was your day? What happened? How was school? You know, what happened? Tell me. Who are your friends? You know, that kind of thing. Do you have friends? Number one, let's start there. Do you have friends? Why don't you have friends? That would be a sign to me like, you don't even have one friend. They already are be wondering, why don't you have even one at school? Come on, it's not possible. So it's those kind of things that you need to be mindful of. You need to take notice of these things. Very simple, especially young kids. It's very quick. It's very easy to see when something's not okay, because their behavior changes very quickly. You can pick it up. But last week, this was how this child was acting. This week now, something is a bit off. Something is different. So it's about being aware. It's not always saying, oh, they're just growing up. That's why, no, some changes are very significant. So you have to be aware of those things. And as a parent, it's about educating yourself. Take the time, read a book, read something, read up on these things, watch a documentary, something that informs you, something that makes you aware that kids today are living in a different world from when you were growing up. Things that were normal back then are not actually normal. They're not normal. So it's equipping yourself to be able to pick up on this. Rather be that annoying, overbearing parent than to be a parent who really doesn't care or can't be bothered, because kids, you feel like kids must just, no, it's fine, they're growing up, they must just go ahead. So rather be that annoying parent who wants to know everything about their child. Yeah.
And we have a parent who's a bit annoying and wants to know everything about their child. And when I posted that I would be talking about bullying, she posted a question. So she has a toddler, and the toddler is in daycare. And the toddler always comes back with scratches and marks and stuff. And the response that she was given by the teacher said, no, these kids are always playing and all of that, right? But her issue is that, why is my child always coming with scratches after the playing, right? In addition to that, she's found that every time her child is lively and, very friendly and loud when he's at home, but when it's time to go to school, he's a bit sad and a bit down. And she's worried, is my child not being bullied? But she's not getting a yes or a no from the teacher. Like, what is the solution here? What can she do? How can she support her child? What actions can she take?
Yeah, that would be, that change in behavior in the different environments. For me, that would be concerning. to say, but okay, fine, the kids they play rough and tumble, but scratches always? Why is he always bruised? What kind of play are they getting into? And you as the teachers, where are you to stop this from being the norm? I mean, we know kids play rough, boys play rough. Even the girls nowadays, they play just as rough as the boys, but then they can't always be resulting in injury on the same person. Why is he the only one who seems to be getting scratches? Are they all getting scratched up? What's happening? And the teachers, I'm not too pleased with the teachers' attitude. Like, no, they're just playing. They're just playing. And you're just letting them hurt each other. Why are you not addressing that? Like it's okay to play, and maybe they're playing pretend, but then that seems like dangerous play. Why are they always getting scratched up? I mean, once in a while, they scratch here and there, once in a while. That makes sense. But then every time, now that's concerning. You can't be getting bruised every time. What are you doing? What are you playing at? So I think she needs to just maybe follow that up a little bit more. And for the fact that now the child is not wanting to go to school, already there for me, it's an indicator that something is happening in that school that the child doesn't feel comfortable with. Maybe he's not verbally in a place where he can say what's happening, or maybe it is because now he's fearful to say anything. So the first thing, if they can, I'd say take your child in to see someone, even if it's just one session. Let them go for play therapy. Let them go, talk to a professional and see what they get. Maybe something else is happening. Maybe it's not not the other kids bullying him. Maybe it's not even the school. We don't know. But then at least if they can go 1 session, 2 sessions to a professional, just to try and get a lay of the land as to what is actually happening with this child. Just also, I think also for her peace of mind, just so that she knows that it's not the school itself, but my gut is saying there is something happening there, that the child is not eager to go back there, because most kids at that age, I mean, that's where their friends are. It's that at that age, it's about play. They're all eager, they're excited to go because they can't wait to go and play the whole day. Because basically that's what they do at that age. There's nothing else. So it's fun. They find it fun. So for the fact that he's not so keen, that's a bit worrying. It's a sign that something might be happening there.
And let's say he does go for play therapy and it is established that he is being bullied. I'd say he needs to leave the school. What would you say?
Yeah, I would say that's an option. That's one of the options. But then also it's like to engage the teachers. I mean, they need to be a bit more aware. They need to be a bit more concerned, I mean, I'm sure some of them are parents themselves. How would they feel if that was their child in that situation? They need to take more of an active interest in what the kids are doing. And it's also about identifying who are these kids that are bullying and sitting them down and talking to them. Because also at that age, kids, to them, teachers are like the end all and be all. They're like their gods, basically. So if the teacher says, Katlego, your behavior is not called for, we do not like it, that might be have more of an effect to say, oh, okay, teacher doesn't like it. Let me behave. Let me rectify myself. Then rather than them leaving it alone, leaving them and not doing anything, then that's just reinforcing to them like, oh, this behavior is okay.
It's okay. I can continue.
Yeah, I can continue like this. Yeah.
And if it happens that he's the bully, which I don't think so, but what if, because we never know, what if he's the bully?
Then if he's the bully, then it's that thing, like I said, you as the parent, you sit him down, you talk to him, why are you doing it? And you explain to him why that behavior is not okay. And also, even in that instance, it's always a good idea to take them for therapy, to just, work on the behavior, on changing that behavior, so that let them, play therapy actually usually works for kids that age, because then they might not have the verbal skills to say what's happening, what they're thinking, but then a lot can come out from that. And then the professional is trained on how do we work on this? How do we fix this behavior? How do we change this in therapy? And then how do I also equip you as the parent to say these are the things that you should be implementing in the house as well, to make sure that this is a long-term behavior change that we get from the child.
Who let the lemon head into the room? You are a waste of life, and you should give up. Welcome back, jerky jerk face.
Kia, any last words?
No, I think it's just that thing of seeking help for both the kid and the parent, and also the resources that Doc was talking about. I am very like internet friendly, so I've spoken to. I think she's a counselor for free. She was willing to give me free sessions, and now I'm also part of a support group where we meet at a church, and two of them are qualified therapists. I think the leaders. So it's free. We come, we talk. Everyone comes and has their own things that they talk about. So also just talking. I think talking is also it's very important. Like to have someone that you can confide in. So yeah, I think my last words are: parents, be aware of, be mindful of your kids. Start forming relationships with your children from a very, very young age, so that you can just create that door where they can come and talk to you about anything, like the doctor said, and also seek help. Yeah.
And in talking, Kia's talking about we need to talk. When people come and talk to us about their issues, can we be, like safe spaces and not now share their issues or embarrass them or make them feel bad? Let's be the safe space that can hinder or block someone from committing suicide or harming themselves or continuing a very bad habit in their lives. Doc, any last words?
Like just to echo what Gia said, I mean, help is out there. I'm glad that, there's a support group for them. And there are many support groups, like you said, churches actually. You find lay counselors there within the church groups. Start there. Your first resource is your church. If you're a church person, start there. You might be, they'll link you up with all the relevant entities that can assist you. And also to those who are bullies or those who are being bullied, seek help. There is help for you out there, and it's never too late to actually change how you do things. Yes, especially if you're a bully, it's never too late for you to change, as long as you have that insight and you are aware that how your behavior is negatively affecting other people. Yeah, and it's like just be mindful as a parent. Be more aware of what's happening with your kids. I would like to think we're no longer raising latchkey kids. We are raising kids who we interact with. I'm not saying, I know like some parents still have a thing like, I don't want to be I can't be my child's friend and a parent, but actually you can find a good medium, a balance somewhere there. You don't have to be their parent, but then also be the first port of call for them when things are not going okay. Be that person that they know that this is the one person I can go to and share things, even the most embarrassing thing. I can still tell them, and I know I'll be safe. I'm not going to get into trouble for it, because sometimes that's why kids don't want to say anything. They think, oh, but if I say I'm going to get into trouble, and they're going to say, but what did you do? Whereas I did nothing. So it's that thing. Be that safe space for your kids. Create that environment whereby they know they can come to you with absolutely anything. As embarrassing as some of those things might be. So I think also it's a thing of, as a parent, you need to get over your own hang-ups. To say, but their kids, I can't talk to them about anything, and then they will be able to tell you that, but this happened at school, there's a child who's doing this, or the teacher it might be the teacher who's bullying them. So this is what's happening. I think also sometimes if it's from another adult, then it's a bit difficult for them to say anything, especially we as the parent, you say, but you must respect all your elders, all that nonsense that we like to tell, like it's no. Adults can be in the wrong as well. If an adult looks at you stiff or they say something, come and tell me. If they make you feel uncomfortable, you can come and tell me and I will deal with it. So it's about creating that environment for your kids. Yeah.
Very well said. Thank you very much, ladies.
Yeah.
You have Kia, you have Dr. KG, we have Katlego, you have a triple K.
Yes! Hey, now.
Okay, fun aside, like on a serious note, whether you're being bullied, whether you're the bully, whether you're in primary school, high school, you're in university, or even in the workplace, male or female, you are loved, either side, bully or bullied, you are loved, and we don't want to hear more of people committing suicide. We don't want to hear more of people being traumatized or, causing trauma. Resources are available, even if, like how Doctor was saying, even if your parent is not that safe space, speak to a friend, speak to a teacher, speak to someone online and get that help. You are too loved to be committing suicide. You are too loved to be traumatized in that way. So please, please, please seek that help. And we're leaving all the details of more resources of help in the description below. And until our next time with a doctor, I'm not sure if you're going to be back.
Depends. I'll wait for the invite.
Please catch our mental health awareness series with Dr. KG, which we will link on your screen right now. Till next time, bye for now.